All right, coach. You guys opened hockey's play with a one-game matchup against number three Boston University. Fought till the end. Tough one, but turning attention, they got a two-game series coming up against Massachusetts. Just want to get your thought on this upcoming hockey's battle.
Yeah, it's going to be our first weekend series, hockey's weekend series. Last year was just a one. Last week was just a one gamer. So we're, I have the most respect for UMass and Greg, how he runs his program. They've always been a highly contested games when we play them. It seems like there've been a lot of one goal games in the past few years against UMass. They play a very up tempo style of hockey. They've got excellent goaltending and Harabel. I think their forward group is outstanding, and that's led by O'Hara, who I believe has 9 points in 5 games already. And then, Locke Mellis is a great player, and Suniev might be the best goal scorer in our league. So we're going to have our hands full with the Minutemen, that's for sure.
All right, we'll open it up for questions. Dan, you want to start us off?
Sure. How's Tyler doing? And are you sure if you're going to have him yet this weekend?
We're not sure if we're going to have Tyler yet, but he did practice yesterday. We'll see. He hasn't come in yet and met with our trainer today, so we'll see how that went and how he responded to playing, going through a full practice yesterday. But we're hoping to.
How much does it just impact the way that you practice and what you can do when you only have one goal to give?
Well, we have another goaltender, so we have two goaltenders for practice. So it doesn't really impact the way we play or the way we practice. Now, if you only had one, then it gets a little tougher because you get guys shooting in an empty net down one end. But for practice, we've always had two goaltenders.
Even when Tyler's been out?
Yes. Yeah,
Oh, so you have like a practice guy
we
now?
do. We do. We
Okay.
put someone on the roster last week, Nico Gamara, who is a student here at UConn, and we've been using him for practice.
How did you find him?
He had reached out to Vince Stiletti, our goaltending coach, earlier in the year, and we told him at the time we didn't have room for him. But sorry, I lost you there for a sec. We told him that we didn't have room for him at the time, but kept his information, and we've had to use it. I mean, it came in handy, so he's been able to help us out quite a bit, which is nice. One of the reasons why I'm concerned about if the NCAA goes to roster limits, if that's a hard number, I think it's going to be difficult for a lot of teams, especially in our sport in that position when you lose a goaltender that gets hurt. Merrimack went through it, and I think a lot more teams are going through it, have gone through that. And then when you lose two, then it becomes a really dicey situation.
Joe, we'll jump over to you.
Thanks. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm great, Joe. You?
I'm good. Looking forward to Saturday night. What did you learn about your young team in its first Hockey East game?
Uh, I think we were very resilient. I mean, that was a good BU team. I thought we handled a lot of some difficult situations. Like you get that 5-minute major and they score in the first 30 seconds of the 5-minute major, and we come right back and get a shorthanded goal. That showed me a lot about the team's resilience. I thought that we competed really hard. I thought we skated with BU, and they're the third-ranked team in the country, and I thought we went toe-to-toe with them. So I thought it was very promising for a team with, it's turned over half its team. We had 14 new players, and thought we adjusted pretty well.
Your young defense, how do you like the way that they're coming together?
I thought they played very well. I thought, Kai Janvaraya has been solid all year long. I think Trey Scott has given us really good minutes the past couple of games that he's played. And, Nick Carabin's been a seamless transition. And I thought that might have been Vikings' best game of the year as well.
What does Trey bring to the table as far as helping on the blue line?
Yeah, he skates very well. He's got poise with the puck and a really high hockey IQ. He can read plays pretty quickly, and there's not a lot of panic in his game.
Thanks.
Natalie, we'll go over to you.
Thanks, Colin. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm great, Natalie. How are you?
Good. Good to see you again.
Nice to
Um, I have not watched UConn yet this year, so I apologize if I ask anything that needs clarification. But I guess primarily, how has coaching for you been a little bit different, if, maybe challenging this season with new personnel as well as 14 new players to work with?
Natalie, it hasn't changed that much because, we have great leadership in Hudson Shandor and John Spetz, who have been around here. I mean, this is their 5th year here, so they know how things operate, and they've been able to relay that to the rest of the team and lead in a way that the rest of the team knows how we do things at UConn and what's their expectations are of players here. So I've been really fortunate to have that type of leadership, and it's been pretty seamless, to be honest with you.
That's a great indication and reflection as to what you have. I think I heard you mention preseason. You have a quicker team this year than in years past. Or is there anybody in particular you feel really goes out there and pushes the pace for this team?
Well, we got a lot of players, I think, that are pushing the pace. I mean, Hudson Shandor has always played with a lot of pace, but some of the newcomers, Caden Shahan skates very well. Ethan Gardula skates very well. Joey Muldowney, Ryan Tattle. They're all players who have always, played with a lot of pace. And those are the types of teams, Natalie, I want to have. I've always enjoyed coaching the teams that can put pressure on the opponent in all 3 zones. And I think that's something we're going to continue to work at and get better at as the season goes on.
Right. I know it's still early, but I guess looking at the power play right now, 1 for 19. How do you find production on that as a coach? How do you kind of encourage anything different there, or how do you approach that?
Well, I do believe we have to get more pucks to the net. That being said, some of it's puck luck. We have got a lot of shots on net with our power play. They just haven't gone in. So, but maybe with a more, shot mentality from our power play. Like when I watch UMass play, I mean, they get that puck to the net quick, and they don't mess around much on the perimeter. That puck's coming to the net, and it puts a lot of pressure on you as a penalty kill to sort it out. It's hard, when a team keeps a puck on the perimeter. It's easy to defend because you know where you need to go. You know your rotations. It's hard to rotate off of rebounds because it's just scrambly and it's chaos, and that's how I think the good power plays capitalize on their situations with, getting a puck to the net, going off a skate, and it goes to someone else and bang, it's in your net. So those are the things that I think our power play needs to do. Probably put a little more emphasis on getting pucks to the net.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Sure.
Jay, we'll jump over to you.
Hi, Coach. Jay Burnham. I'll be on the TV broadcast on Friday with Johnny Lazarus. So any complaints on that, you can send them my way.
My condolences. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Hey, I got 3 questions for you, if you don't mind. Talking about that power play, who is that, I guess, the quarterback? Who really leads that power play for you on the first unit?
Well, we have 2 units. I don't know which one's our first unit yet. I don't think that has materialized to this point. That being said, Kai Janvaraya is, as a freshman, is leading one group. And then we have Nick Carabin and John Spetz interchangeable on the next group up top. So that's probably, those would be the guys that are quarterbacking the power play.
Gotcha. And then I guess against BU, was there a line that you thought particularly stood out?
Well, I thought Whitcomb's line created a lot. The one thing that's been nice about coaching this team is I feel very confident in all 4 lines. Ryan Tattle, and like people always ask me, or they'll say sometimes, "Oh, your fourth line was good," and my response is, "Well, which one's our fourth line?" Because Ryan Tattle and Tristan Frazier gave us great efforts. I thought Whitcomb's line was good. Hudson Shandor and Caden Shahan, I believe, had 6 shots on net in the game. And then Tabor Heaslip and Jake Percival have been arguably our most consistent players all year long. So I feel like we have contributions from every line.
Yeah, that's kind of what I gathered. And then I guess last one, watching that game on Friday, I was just curious on your opinion. The major penalty that kind of happened around the net, it felt like there was some distance between the boards. What did you think when you saw that replay?
Yeah. I coach, the players play, and the refs ref, and I try not to do their job. So it doesn't really matter what I think. They called it, and it is what it is. But that would be more of I think, a question for Brian Murphy than it is for me.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm just curious because I'm just trying to understand how it got to where it got to.
They felt like it was that put the offensive player in a vulnerable position, but my guy wound up with a dislocated shoulder too. So it was that
Spets?
Yeah. So and he's day to day right now. So, but it is, hey, that's the game. And there's a lot of calls in a game that are not black and white. And that was clearly in the gray. And you can see both sides of it. Now, whether I think it was a 5 or not, there'll be, if you ask 10 guys, 5 might think it's a 5 and 5 might not. There are those calls in a game that are very gray. And my point to it is, it doesn't matter. We practice penalty killing all the time. We have to be able to kill that penalty. And we actually did a pretty good job. We gave up one, but we also scored one. So it wound up not being a factor in the game.
Yeah. Sorry, I just asked that question to try and relay it to the audience because Jim Connolly was like, yeah, that shouldn't be a major, and trying to understand how to
and
the people. And you're like, well, I guess it is.
Well, I think that's your job. You can have an opinion on that, and I can have an opinion, but as I said, at the end of the day, it's the ref made the call, and both referees are excellent referees. I think Marty Hughes and Terrence Murphy do fabulous job in our league, and that's how they saw it. So,
okay, awesome. Thanks, man.
Joe, we'll go back to you.
Thanks. Hey, Cav, what have Jake Richard and Joey Muldowney added to their games since last year?
Well, it's clearly developing some chemistry between the two of them. They're creating a lot of offense. I think they've just matured. They've both gotten stronger, Joe. And I think, as I said, they found a little chemistry playing together. I think Ethan Whitcomb has also been a cog in that line that has helped those two. So right now, the three of them are playing really well off each other. They're creating chances. Now, I'd like to see, I do believe defensively they can get better as players. You don't want to trade chances in a game. And I think against BU, I don't think that was necessarily the case. I think the first weekend of the year, they were a line that was trading chances. They are putting a lot more effort into the defensive side of their game, but they're excellent offensive players that can create in the offensive zone.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Randy, we'll go to you.
Just one from me. Good morning, Cav. How you doing?
Morning, Randy.
I just want to follow up on my partner's question there. And Whitcomb, you mentioned that he's been, kind of a positive cog in the middle of those two. What specifically could we look for that he does to make those two better? Maybe open up some of that tape to tape passing that we've seen from the two of them.
He's got great size. He's got really intelligent hockey player. So they all understand offense and where to be. And there's times where you have to dish and drive. There's times where you have to curl up and maybe find a late guy, and they understand when to do those things. But they also, the one area where I'd like to see Ethan get a little bit better is when he learns to protect the puck a la like a Joe Thornton type player, because he's got great size and he's going to be a very, very dangerous player to handle. I remember when I had Kevin Hayes, that was an area that he needed to work on. And then once he did, like, when you can't get the puck from those guys, they're just so hard to defend. And Ethan has the ability to get there at some point.